Okay. Okay. Stuff. Open stuff. Okay. I wonder how I can do that. Create a highlight video. Okay. People have not joined yet, which is fine. Still have to keep trying. Not click into it. Right. Oh, there's all those crickets. I wonder if it would give a feedback if I listen as well. I wonder if it would give me a feedback. Okay, I won't do it to the first person to join. Hello. No. Oh, does he? Okay. Whoa. Okay, so if I talk, it's like 3 seconds delay. Great. I should just start teaching. I waited like, 5 minutes. I'll wait at 5 minutes and I'll start. Okay. Well, begin teaching and then people can go back and watch the video starting at 5 minutes. This is me waiting for students. Okay. Let's go and check. Fingers aren't flexible. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll begin. Okay, I'm going to be talking about 12.4, and if people join late, they can just ask me to repeat myself, or they can just watch the video over again. Okay, rational expression is a ratio of two polynomials where the denominator cannot be 0. So in this section, in 12.4, we're going to, again, find our asymptote, but it's not going to be a graph part. It's going to be, this is called an excluded value. So basically, an excluded value is what value is when, oh, Ezra just joined. Okay, good. We actually have a person join. I've realized something about this video is that it has a 30-second delay regardless, which is such a weird. We're doing 12.4 today. Okay, I'll start over since, you're the only viewer, so might as well go with the audience. So we're doing 12.4 on that section right there. And I will review 12.3 if any questions arise, but I just lost you. Okay, it's okay. We'll keep going. Okay, so rational expression basically means a fraction where the denominator cannot be 0. Okay, so this means an example of this would be this. This would be a rational expression unless x minus 3 equals 0, or x cannot equal 3. Okay, and this right here is our excluded value. Basically, excluded value, we say, is x equals 3. It's the value that can't be plugged in, okay? So excluded value, it can also be a decimal that ends. So rational expression. This is an expression, not a rational number. Okay, so expression is a fraction of polynomials, okay? So it's usually going to involve x or y or some power of x. Okay, so excluded value is what the denominator, if you set the denominator equal to 0, what? Yeah, it's going to include a variable. So Ezra, it is going to include a variable. I'm going to just type that. There we go. Okay, so basically we're going to find excluded values in order to simplify this. So before we can simplify, we need to find excluded values. Okay? So excluded values is basically when the denominator is set the denominator equal to 0 and then solve that. So what's the excluded value here? Well, we set the denominator 10x equal to 0. And we divide both by 10. 0 divided by 10 is 0. So we get x equals 0. This is our excluded value. Okay, so this is our excluded value right there. The way they write it, yeah, I prefer this. Excluded value is x equals 0. Oh, it's Marsha. Someone else also joined, but hi Marsha. But then they dropped out, so I'm assuming they just don't want to watch. Okay, so excluded value is where we set the denominator equal to 0 and solve it because we can't have a value, that's why we exclude it, 0 on the denominator. Oh, hi Esther Kate. Okay, so we set the bottom 2y plus 14 equal to 0. We solve this. We simplify the denominator. Not simplify. We solve the denominator for 0 to find it. So 2y plus 14 equals 0 minus 14. 2y equals negative 14. Y equals negative 7. So this is our excluded value. Okay? Right there. So, to find excluded value, okay. So, let's do another example. We have 4v over v squared minus 9. Now, if you notice, v squared minus 9 is going to be a quadratic, not quadratic necessarily. So v squared minus 9 equals 0. So there's two ways to do this. I don't know. I hope to finish before 10, basically, today. Okay. So you can either factor this or use other methods. Factoring this, because this thing is squared minus another number squared, you know that it's going to be v plus a number and v minus a number plus 0. So v plus 3 and v minus 3. So v is going to equal plus or minus 3. Or you could say v equals 3 and negative 3. Either one works, and this is your excluded value. This is an or right here. And this is excluded values because it's plural. Yeah, you could have done it this way. V squared equals 9. Then you root both sides. So v squared square rooted equals plus or minus square root of 9. So v equals plus or minus 3. Same thing. Okay. So that is finding. There isn't both sides to the beginning equation. You mean square root? Yeah, but that. Now, there are some problems that you are going to see that may not have excluded values. Because negative 3 squared also equals 9. So if you did it this way, v squared equals parentheses negative 3 squared is a true statement. Okay, so we look at when the bottom 8w squared plus w plus 5 equals 0. Now, if you recall, which you probably, it's okay if you don't, there's a determinant. The determinant is b squared minus 4ac. And if this is bigger than 0, there's two solutions. If it's equal to 0, that's one solution. And if it's less than 0, there's no solution. What this means, solution here is zeros. Zeros means that this will equal 0. Okay? So, b squared is our middle number. B is 1, so 1 squared, minus 4 times a is 8, and c is 5. Okay? So we get 1 minus 160, which is a negative number, negative 159. So this is, where are you buffering? Oh, here we go. Sorry, it's coming back. Give it a second. Okay, it's gonna come back. It should reboot in a second. I'm not gonna restart. Okay, there we go. It's because people keep, my phone was receiving. Okay, whatever. We'll try it now. Okay. It might not be as good quality. So, I'm just going to repeat this. Okay. So, if we have a quadratic, we have to recall, this is called the determinant. Sorry, discriminant, not determinant. Determinant's a different name. Discriminant. And this discriminant right here is going to affect whether this has a 0 or not. Okay? So, we plug in the numbers here into the discriminant right here. And we see that this is going to be a negative number. Okay? It was because my phone, for some reason, my phone can override my computer. I don't know why. Okay. So, plug it in, we get a negative number. That means there's no solution. What no solution means is that this denominator is never going to equal 0. Okay? No real roots means there's no 0 here. So this is always going to be a different number besides 0. So then there's going to be no excluded values. Okay, so if you're not sure, if you find out there's no zeros, no solution, then you're going to get no excluded values, okay? Okay, let's work through a problem. What I mean, what this will look like, okay? So, okay. So we'll try one that has an excluded value. And then we'll try one where we have to use our discriminant. Okay. So this first one, we set the bottom equal to 0. 3x minus 5 equals 0. And we solve for x. So add 5 to both sides. 3x equals 5. X equals 5 divided by 3. This would be our excluded value. Okay? Our excluded value. Right there. Okay? So that's what we are used to. Now for this one, we do the same thing. 5y squared plus 2y plus 3 equals 0. Now, normally you would need to find the excluded value, you would need to either factor or use your quadratic. But you can also just check if there is going to be excluded value by using the discriminant, okay? So if you can find an excluded value, then you don't need to use the discriminant. But in this situation, we have all positives. If you have all positives, and this number multiplied to be something that can't add into this middle, right? 5 times 3 is 15. That will never add up to be 2. So then we check, okay? Discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. b squared is 2 squared minus 4 times 5 times 3. 2 squared, 4, minus 20 times 3 is 60. So it's going to equal negative 56. Now, if negative 56, if this number is less than 0, which it is, then we're going to have no zeros. Meaning, there's no solution to this question right here. There's no solution. And if there's no solution to that question, there are no excluded values. So no solution equals no excluded values. Okay? Okay? So you can use the discriminant to check. So let's take another example, okay? So this first one, we can just erase. We'll leave this up so we can refer back to it. Let's do this one. And minus 6 over 2n squared minus 5n minus 12. Okay? So again, we set the bottom equal to 0. Now, we can use our discriminant to check. Okay? It's just a check. So the middle is 5, so negative 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 12. Negative 5 squared is 25. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 12 times negative 12 is positive 96. Okay, these two add up to be whatever. It's larger than 0. If it's larger than 0, it is too blurry to see the numbers. Well, I used it to solve. If it's larger than 0, we have two solutions. Okay, two solutions means this. See if this works. I don't know how to change the internet issue. Okay, so if you have two solutions, we can solve this, okay? So then we would go back, and we can either FOIL or use quadratic. I'll just use quadratic. So we get n equals negative b, so 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared, 25 plus 96. Sorry, we already did this. That's the discriminant right there. So I'll just show the work. Negative b squared minus 4ac, and then all over 2a. Okay, this becomes 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 plus 96 over 4. 25 plus 96 is 121. Thank goodness. So we get 5 plus or minus the square root of 121 over 4. It's been buffering. I'm doing the quadratic on this equation. So the quadratic for this question. Okay, and solving this quadratic, we get n equals 5 plus or minus 11 over 4. So n equals negative 6 over 4 and 16 over 4, which would mean n equals negative 3 over 2 and 4. So these are our excluded values right here. Okay, so yeah, what if the quadratic doesn't work? So if the quadratic doesn't work, then that means your discriminant. So if your discriminant is negative, if the inside of the square root right here is negative, you don't have a solution. I don't know why the internet is so spotty. That is weird. Yeah, I can't think of the reason. Okay. Okay. So that's excluded values. Now, where are we at? Okay, 36, we're fine. So, simplifying rational functions. So excluded value is our first step for every question, okay? Finding the excluded value is the first step. If there's a negative inside, that means there's no excluded value, okay? Negative on the inside of this, no excluded value. Okay. So, okay, we have to simplify a rational function. So let's say we had sum A and C over B and C. okay, in which b does not equal 0 or c does not equal 0. Because if they equal 0, so this is our excluded value right here. Okay. One excluded value, that square root would have a 0 on the inside. That would be 1. Okay. Okay. If b and c are not equal to 0, then we have a times c over b times c. And we can just simplify this by canceling out c. So we get a over b. Okay? Now this only works if it's multiplication, okay? It cannot work if it's addition. Okay? So, let's look at an example. If we have 2x plus 4 over 3x plus 6. Now our first step is to find the excluded value. So our excluded value is 3x plus 6 equals 0. So 3x equals negative 6. X equals negative 2. So this is our excluded value, okay? That's our first step. Okay? Our excluded value is our first step. Second step is to simplify. And by simplifying, I mean we check what multiply together. So notice how both of these have this. So we factor off a 2. So we get x plus 2. And on the bottom, we factor off a 3. So we get x plus 2. Okay? Now, notice that the x plus 2 and the x plus 2 are both in parentheses. That means that there's multiplication going on. So we can cancel out the whole parentheses and simplify it to be 2 over 3. And this would be our simplification right there. Oh, hi, Diane. Because the denominator, this can't equal 0. And if you don't find the excluded value of why this can't equal 0, then when you simplify it, you might get an incorrect answer. Okay? We'll talk about why in a minute. But first step, always find excluded value. That's just the rule. Second step, simplify. Okay? So, we have r over 2r. r over 2r. The x plus 2, so you saw here, I'll show you with this, okay? So again, we set the bottom equal to 0, solve, so r equals 0, and that's our excluded value. Okay? Then we see that there's an r on top and an r on bottom. That it's multiplication. This is multiplication right here. So we can cancel out the two r's, and we get 1 over 2. Okay, and that would be our answer right there. Okay? Where did the r's go? They got canceled. So I'll show you an example. Let's do one that's similar to that. Okay. So 3c plus 33 over c plus 11. Okay? So our first step is to check what is our excluded values. What do you mean? What do you mean by both? I don't understand your question. Simplifying it means you cancel what's the same on top and bottom. So this, the r's got canceled. That gives us 1/2. Oh, you mean this right here. Okay. Okay. So this right here, again, find excluded value. C plus 11 equals 0. So C equals negative 11. That's the value we exclude. Okay. Excluded value. Okay. So then we need to factor the top. So we factor off a 3. So we get C plus 11, 3 times C plus 11 over C plus 11. Now, technically the bottom is just C plus 11 times 1 because everything is always times 1. So if you look, you see that the C plus 11 in parentheses is the same as the bottom, that they're factors. These two can then be canceled like this because they are both factor of the number. They're both factors of this original. So then what we get is 3 over 1 or just 3. So our answer is 3, okay? Okay. So, we have a few more, and then we'll actually finish. We'll finish for today. We're on example 2. So we're only doing 2 examples each time instead of doing everything today. So instead of spending an hour and a half on this, we're just spending 45 minutes because we only have 3 sections. 12.5, 12.6, 12.7 left. So might as well go into better detail. Okay. So we're going to simplify 5x. 5x over 5 times x plus 2. Again, we check. Our excluded value. So we get x plus 2 still equals 0. X equals negative 2. So this is our excluded value. Okay? Then, we'll have a test for chapter 12. Not next week, but probably the week after next. So we'll have a test on chapter 12. Let's see. 12.4, 12.4, 12.5, 12.6. Yeah, so either the 11th or the 13th. Probably the 11th. Of course, we wouldn't have done probability. So, I don't know. It's okay. So, okay. So what we can factor off, what's the same on top and bottom? It's 5. Is it multiplication? Is our question. Is it multiplication? Yes. So the 5's can cancel. So our answer is x over x plus 2. And that is simplified. Okay, so x over x plus 2. Yeah, I thought about doing probability. I don't know. Just don't have enough time. That's the problem. We lost a lot of stuff. Yes. Probability. It's fun. Okay. Let's do some more. 6m cubed minus 12m squared over 18m squared. First step, 18m squared equals 0. So m squared equals 0. M equals 0. So this is excluded value. Then we need to factor the top. So what's the same in 6 and 12? 6 and 12 is 6. What about m cubed and m squared? Well, what's the same is m squared, because it actually goes into both. So then we divide 6m cubed divided by 6m squared, gives us m. 12m squared divided by 6m squared is just 2. Okay, and this is all over 18m squared. Okay, now 18m squared and 6m squared. This might be the last chapter. It depends on how long we spend on 12.5 and 12.6 and 12.7. I mean, I could technically skip those two, but they are very useful. Like, it's very helpful for your 10th grade year to actually know how to do this. But then again, probability is what a lot of people mess up on. Okay, anyway. Okay, I'll think about it. So then, yeah, this is basically chapter 12 is the culmination of chapter 8, 9, 10, 11. It's sort of. Yeah. Okay, so 6 and 18, that cancels to be 1 over 3. M squared and m squared cancel. So we get m minus 2 in parentheses over 3. Or m minus 2 over 3. And that would be our solution right there. Okay? So, it is a process. Simplifying is a process. Yeah. Well, that's because no one else joined early enough. So, you were the only one who joined. Okay. Last one. What about if we try to simplify and we can't do anything? So this one we could simplify something. But there are cases where we can't simplify anything. And all we do in those cases is state the excluded value. So we have y over 7 minus y. Okay? So we check our 7 minus y equals 0. So negative y equals negative 7. Y equals 7. That's our excluded value. Okay. Okay. Now, here's a question. What's the same on top and bottom? Well, your brain might be like, oh, there's a y. You see this y and you see this y. Except, the question is it multiplication? Is it multiplication? Here is a subtraction. Right here is our answer. Right there is our answer. What's the answer? No. You cannot cancel. Cannot simplify, okay? Is it multiplication? No, it cannot cancel. Okay, you cannot simplify. So as okay, I will let you guys know if this is the last chapter. Okay. I do want to do some kind of worksheet on probability. So I'll let you know. Okay, that is it for, well, it's also internet. Depends on your internet. It can be buffering for one person and not for another. My internet right now is fine. Okay. Okay, so listen up. This is the last part of the lecture. Yes, you can do easy. Exclude a value. You'll get annoyed if you don't. Value will equal E dot V. Okay? That's for your sake and mine, because I got annoyed about writing excluded value every time. But, okay, there is no simplification. So if you can't simplify, then it's just y over 7 minus y. That is your answer. Okay, so you have these two answers right here. Okay, you get excluded value and the simplification. Okay? So, next, we will, so on Wednesday, we will talk about the next section. So, this is the section for today. Wednesday, we will do the rest of 12.4. Friday, we're going to do 12.5. Yeah, 12.5. It's going to be a BP section. And if we don't finish 12.5 on Friday, we'll continue it on Monday, the next week after. So we'll go 12.5, Friday, Monday, 12.6 on Wednesday and Friday. Yeah, I don't know. 12.7 on the 11th. And then the 13th, review, or just more 12.7. And then either the 14th or the 15th would be a test. So basically, this will be the last section. Now, I will give you guys a probability thing and logic thing to work over the summer. I'll send it to your parents if you're like, why are you sending me homework? Because when you come back, you will want to have known some of these things for geometry. Okay? How hard will the test be? Well, think of chapter 12 as the meat, right? So we had our salads we had our appetizer, right, quarter 1. We had our salad, quarter 2. We had our soup that's a little bit heavier, some potatoes in there. You don't have to do it, but it's a good idea. Then chapter 8, 9, 10, and 11, kind of main course-ish, but they weren't meat. They weren't heavy. Chapter 12 is meat. How many graphing problems are there? 1 or 2 total. Not many. Probably 1. Probably 1 that involves, comparing the graph and because if I do too many graphing problems, it will take you guys way too long. Okay. So, why am I using a wheel? Because it makes sense. This is the section that builds on using everything. Like, how else would you explain it? Okay, quarter 1 was really simple, the basics, the fundamentals. So, okay, I'll think of it as a building. This would be like quarter 1 was the ground, was the foundation. So you had to dig up the soil and put in your concrete, your rebar. Quarter 2 was putting in some more concrete, slowly building it up. Just, it will be hard. That's the point. But if I just say it's going to be hard, you're going to be like, how hard? I don't know, on a scale of 1 to Mr. David, this is a ridiculous test, it's closer to Mr. David, this is a ridiculous test. But it's not because it's a ridiculous test, it's because material is everything. I answered it in both sections. And just think of it as like, this is the culmination of everything you've studied so far. It's buffering so much. No, I have good connection. That's your internet, not mine this time. Thank goodness it's not mine. Okay, so I do like probability a lot. I'm gonna figure out, we'll cancel out one of the chapter 12 sections. I'll talk to Ms. Proud, who's gonna be the teacher of the people next year. That'll be fun. Okay. So, have a great day, students. I'm finishing up 2 minutes early. I spent 5 minutes of this video waiting for people because, everything is yesterday's full. Okay. People are just going to reach out and be like, wow, Ezra had a lot of questions today. But the truth is, no one else was online for at least the first 5 minutes of the video. So, yeah. Okay. Bye, guys.